Hi everybody, it's Allie here, and I'm here with Stamp Anything, and today we're coloring our little water skier, and this digital image is called What Are You Up To? We're going to start with her skin tonight, and we're going to start with E25, and I always like to uncap both ends of my Copic markers because I find I get a smoother ink application to my paper. We're starting with E25, which is our darkest of our skin tone. And this color is going to go on very, very sparingly. I'm just going to add it to areas that I think are going to have a fair amount of shadow. And I'm not going with a specific directionality of light. I'm just doing what I think looks nice. And I think that's a lot easier to do than to decide where the sun is coming from, that kind of thing. So we're going to do under her arms and just down the inside of that arm as well. Down along the underside of her under arm and back kind of around her shoulder. She's got a little bit of tummy showing, but there will be a little bit of cast shadow from that life jacket. We're going to go down the inside of her leg, around her boot, and down the back side of her other leg. There we go. Very, very sparingly on the dark. Okay, next we are on to our E34, which is kind of our mid-tone. We're going to do a fair amount of this. We are going to actually go right over top of that darker E25. By going over top of it, we are allowing those two to blend and work together. I'm going to go down her cheek. I'm going to go across, and I kind of always make it so that my chibi people, that they kind of have like chubby little cheeks that go kind of just below their eyeballs. I just kind of like the way that looks. And don't get scared. We are going to go over this again with some lighter colors. So don't get scared. I'm going to go over top of those eyes, under her neck. A fair amount of color on that. This is going to work out to be the majority, this mid-tone. I wanted her to look very much sun-kissed and have the appearance of being out on the water. So we're going to be pretty generous with our mid-tone. Again, I am trying to go over top of that darker brown, that E25, to help make sure that it blends in with our mid-tone, our E34. There we go. And I'm going to come back to her face again, and I will do this. So the nice thing about Copics is that they're transparent. So you can continue to add color and add layers and darken color and blend things a little bit more in the paper. Okay, let's go to our lightest. We're going to go E21. Okay, so I'm going to go over that previous E34. Now, E21, there's a 1 at the end. That means that there's a lot of blender solution in this particular marker. So be very conscious. Oops, I just went over her tongue, but that's okay. It's our light color. We can have pinks and stuff go right over top. But when you use a lighter color over top, you can have some modeling kind of almost looks like it's been touched by water. So be very aware when you use a lighter marker over top of some of your colors, because you will get some funky effects, because the one indicates lots of blender solution to make that light color. So be aware that when you're using a lighter color over top, that you can get some mottling of those other inks. So we're going to go, sometimes I go right over top the whole leg, and that just blends everything too. All the way across. There we go. And again, color is transparent, so if you want to deepen and darken that color, go over top of it again. If you don't want to pull another color of marker. And sometimes it's just easier to do it that way, because I want a smoother blend on her face there. And then sometimes you have to bring in that other color too, but I'm okay with that. There we go. Her skin is done. The one thing that I like to do, especially for somebody that's probably out and about in the sun, sometimes I take my E20 and I actually go over not only the cheeks, because you use it to give your cheeks a little bit of a pink tone, even though you've got brown there, you can kind of brighten it up with a pink. Sometimes I take my pink all the way up into foreheads and shadows and stuff, because I think it makes a nice combo, and it makes almost like they've got a glow to them. So I'll go over her arms and her legs too. So it's like she's kind of been kissed by the sun. So it just adds that pink undertone to the skin, even though we've used browns. There we go. So now she looks a little bit more summer kissed. There we go. Okay, onto her hair. So for her hair, we're going to kind of do a blondish color. I'm going to start with our darkest, our YR27. And this color I'm going to use sparingly again, because it again is our shadow color. So there's not always a lot. Especially, I mean, if she's on the lake, there are going to be reflections that bounce back on her. So she's not going to have a lot of dark to her hair. But she's obviously going to have darker parts, because the hair behind your neck is definitely going to be in shadow. So we have to put at least a little bit of shadow in there. I'm going to go right down her back, just using a flicking motion. When you're flicking, turn your paper if you have to. Sometimes it's more comfortable to flick back towards you. Sometimes it's easier to flick away. Do what's comfortable for you. So a little bit behind her ear, and then there'll be a little tiny bit as her hair swoops up and over. Anytime it kind of gets tucked under itself, so it's going behind those curls, I'm just going to rotate. And a little bit of darkness as that hair tucks underneath. You can even go along the length a little bit too. Same with this point here. I'm kind of assuming that this hair is kind of tucked underneath her bangs, so there's going to be a tiny bit shadow there. And sometimes I like to do a little bit of shadow on the tips too. I'll just do it in the swoop. There. We're going to go on to our almost medium tone, YR24. And we're going to flick out from those darker areas. Again, we want to pass over that darker Copic color. It aids in the blending. Just flicking at a comfortable angle. Again, rotate your image because you want to kind of flick with that curve. And then we're going to assume that's kind of tucked under. And the hairlines are just a guideline for you, right? You can kind of do whatever you want. I mean, her hair would be really cool if it was like rainbow. You could do those locks in certain colors. So we're still in the shadowed area. I'm assuming that this bit of hair underneath here is fairly dark because it's kind of trapped underneath there. Curves I find are always the hardest because you want to go straight, but you got to get the curve of that line. So just take your time, rotate your image to make it easier. Okay, there we go. And do the tip. And I'm going to rotate it back a little bit. We'll do the other part of her curl. And rotate it back for the curve. And it's okay to leave white streaks, especially with a blonde hair, because there is going to be highlights where the sun bounces off and it almost looks colorless, so you can go white. There we go. And back along the bangs. Again, trying to follow the curve of those lines and the curve of her head. Do a little bit farther. And I'm going to come back from the back for this one. There we go. Just nice long flicks. Sometimes if your flicks don't go long enough, you can just go in and add. I quite often do that just to make it look cohesive. There we go. Alright, going on to our YR23. It's not going to be a whole lot. I'm just going to single cap this one. I'm just going to flick up. This is just super, super light. And again, this is just adding a little bit more lighter color to those hair strands. Going back from both sides. I'm gonna get rid of like all the white in that area because it's really down in there and tucked away. Okay. Now, if you don't think that you have dark enough shadows, go in and add more darkness. You know what? I kind of like the way it's going, so we're not even going to go with a light. We're just going to go with the 3-color blend. She looks good. Let's go into our outfit. Alright, we're going to start in on the life jacket. We're going to go really, really dark. R39. Reds are very, very finicky, so be very, very careful of where you put your reds because these guys are hard to push if you get them in the right spot. And you know what? I forgot the skin tone on the inside of that. Actually, we can make it look like her jacket. So this is our darkest R, and I'm just going to map out anywhere where I think it's super, super shadowed. There we go, and I'm kind of rounding out, kind of making them look like they're, I want to say puffy jacket style. I don't know how else to put it. so that they're kind of cellular almost, those parts to her life jacket. So that's why I'm kind of rounding out the corners. We'll see as we add color here. R37. And you just want to touch that previous R37, R39. Just rounding it out, touching that. This is a little bit lighter. Tiny bit. Very, very little bit of this color. Again, it's very, very dark. I'm going right over those lines. Because I'm assuming it's like I said, a puffy jacket type. Cellular almost looking. So there's going to be puffy cells to those. Jacket, and we'll go a little bit farther down the front. Okay, next one. This is going to be the majority color. This is our R27. And again, go over top of that previous dark red. There's going to be a lot of this off the back because it's more so in shadow. So again, kind of accentuating those curves or those kind of cells or her jacket. Make a fair amount of darkness off her back. Going over the previous reds so that they blend. A bit in front of that arm. I'm going to leave that white, I think, just as if it's a part of her jacket. We're going to go with our lightest. I'm not going to bother uncap this, an R24. Just going over any of that area that's left. Blending that previous color. There we go. There we go. So now they look like puffy cells. Pretty cool, eh? Alright, since we have our reds out, let's go down and do her boots. But before we do that, let's do some drawing. This is just a good old Sharpie fine tipped pen. These are Copic safe. I've never had a problem with them. And let's do a design on her boots before we actually go and color them. So let's see. You can also use your Copic multi-liners for this. Let's do kind of like a whoosh almost coming through it. Because, you know, whatever. There. So just added information. We're going to go in with our darkest. This is our R39 and just tiny bit into those shadowed areas. To round out that heel a bit. Take it along the ski to our secondary red, our R37. Again in our shadowed areas. A little bit more out to the tip. Again, kind of sparingly on this color. Sometimes you have to go the other way too. There we go. Okay, to our R27. This is our main red color. The color I kind of want to show the most of. So we're going to take it almost out to the front of that boot. around her little design there. I'm just going to leave the front of that boot to put that last highlight red on. Again, our last one is our R24. And just taking it out just to the front of those boots. So we missed a little bit, that's okay, we'll just fill it in with our R24. Alright, she's looking good. Alright, let's work on her skis and her little bikini. I wanted to do it bright, bright yellow. So I'm actually going in with a little bit of an orange. This is Y17. And let's do the circles design on her skis. And let's do a design on her water skis as well. Let's just do kind of a curve. We'll take it down kind of part of her skis. There we go. Don't forget the other one. There we go. And then we're going to blend it out with a really bright yellow. I'm going to go Y08. I like to use the orange color as a shader for my yellow. I'm making sure I go over that previous Y17. And then we're just going to do kind of like a little bit of a design on her skis. So I'm going to leave the majority white. Just trying to blend that Y a little bit better there. So see, I have a little teeny thing of red that I blooped there. That's okay. You just make it part of the design. I'm just going to bring in my good old Y27 and we're going to put a couple of stripes of red, like random pattern, because we can. Alright, I'm just going to add a little bit of wood color. Let's go in with a E35. Just going to go down the back of the bar that she's holding, down kind of the end of it as well. And we'll blend it with an E31, just the front side of it. Very, very simple. Just making sure I blend that out a little bit. And there she is. And all I did for her tongue was an R22. And she's ready for fussy cutting. Let's finish off our card here. First, I took my dies here and I cut this gorgeous yellow bubble paper from our Beach Day paper pack. This is so fun. All kinds of gorgeous colors, and they're double-sided, so you get a second print on the other side. But I love the yellow because of her bikini. So I cut a piece of that, and then I cut another piece that I'd printed up the matching sentiment. So what are you up to? Using the scalloped edge from the card mat builder set. And now we're going to add her to an action wobbler, and I cannot find my large ones, so I'm gonna have to use my minis. That's okay. So she's all fussy cut out. All you have to do is peel, and I peeled the wrong side first. Oops. I always put the thicker, non-translucent side to the back of my thing, and I put the clear part to my card. But I don't think it really matters. And we're gonna, even though she would never be maybe at this angle, we're gonna put her at this angle. And I'm just gonna press her into the card. And now she's a a rockin' water skier. And I'm going to keep the background just as it is because I want her to be the star of the show. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you were able to learn something. I appreciate you all coming to have a visit, and I'll see you again next time. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again. Bye, guys.